Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our webinar today on accelerating revenue with AI-driven solutions. So we're going to kind of just give a couple of minutes for all the audience to join us this morning. Hopefully you've got your cup of coffee and ready to buckle in with us today.
I will kick off a little poll, so appreciate you filling out anything that you can on here. It'll definitely help as we go through the webinar as well as what kind of additional information we might be able to send out to you post-webinar.
Great, Sam, why don't we flip to the agenda slide? So for today's webinar, we've got a full agenda for you, a little introduction for Netwoven for those that don't know about us and our offering as IT consultants. But really diving into the meat of today's webinar is around today's sales challenges and looking at Microsoft's D365 solution and also tying into Microsoft Copilot and some of the really cool, new, innovative technology that's coming to bear, sales agents. And so got just an action-packed agenda for you today. We've got some demo as well. Let's go to the next slide. So our panel today, my name is Michael Schmall. I'm our VP of Sales and Customer Success here at Netwoven. Sam's going to also be presenting today. He's our Senior Engagement Manager and really a subject matter expert on Microsoft Dynamics 365, sales, marketing, customer service, field service, etc. And then we have Walt DePetris. Walt is our Senior VP that leads our modern applications practice and data and analytics practice, which includes the Dynamics D365 product set. So all of us will be presenting today, as well as we'll have a panel at the end for questions and answers. All right, so just a little background on Netwoven. We are a preferred Microsoft partner and really kind of focused in a lot of different areas. As an example, we're a part of the Microsoft Intelligent Security Association. So this is a subset of Microsoft partners that have outstanding skill sets in the security area. We recently just got our Fabric featured partner designation, which is kind of cool. So congrats to our Walt and team for achieving that. One logo that I'm excited to put on here that isn't quite out yet is we just recently received Microsoft Copilot Fast or Jumpstart partner status, and they're going to come out with a logo as well for that. And then lastly, just point out the nice accolade from Gartner recognizing Netwoven as one of the best migration service providers in the space. Okay, next slide, Sam. Thanks. So just some background. We are predominantly an IT consulting firm that's focused on the Microsoft enterprise software stack. That's predominantly our business. We do offer some expert staffing. If you're in a situation where you need some staff augmentation, it's a little easier to hire a 1099 contractor rather than bringing on W-2 employees. We do some staff augmentation through our staffing group. And then lastly, we have a product that's out there. Govern 365 is actually a very cool solution that sits on top of SharePoint that allows business users to spin up SharePoint sites for themselves and not only folks inside the organization, but outside of the organization, and do it in a very secure fashion, including the capability around virtual data rooms. So that's an exciting new product that we're bringing, just getting out of the blocks on that. So a growing opportunity for us. Sam, next slide. There we go. Okay, so really getting into Netwoven's consulting capabilities here. One of the unique things about our company is we are certified across all of Microsoft's product stacks. So we've got, obviously, there's a huge migration to the cloud going on today. They've got their M365 content and collaboration solutions. They've got all of their security stack. They've got the modern applications or business applications group with things like Dynamics 365. And then layered on top of that is all the capabilities around data and analytics. So wonderful tools in the Power Platform suite, as well as tools like Fabric for your data warehousing capabilities. You need all of that for making data-driven decisions. And then the last bucket there is the accelerated computing and AI. Obviously, Microsoft's Copilot solution is across all of their products. I think they've got 24 different Copilots out there spanning all the different products. So we kind of see that as an opportunity for all these different practice offerings that we have. Okay, Sam. Thanks. So Netwoven's insight really looks at this as kind of a life cycle here, right? So when we come in and do some assessments in the advisory services, understanding what risks are in front of you, being able to give recommendations on how you would mitigate those risks, then we've got the ability to actually design and build out the capabilities to resolve those issues and put them into play. We offered the deployment capabilities, especially around adoption and change management, really helping the users adopt these new solutions and new business processes to be successful, as well as the support required. We call it hypercare to take care of you as you roll out these new solutions. And once that's all done, the job's not over. Usually what happens is new risks and new challenges pop up and become top of mind. And so you can kind of go through that life cycle on an iterative basis. All right, Sam, let's go to the next slide. So today, our focus today is on accelerating sales, right? It's a big challenge out there. And so how can you use digital innovation to really accelerate that revenue, right? So there's some very cool new technologies coming out around artificial intelligence and what Microsoft is using with their Copilot solutions. And so we wanted to dive into that today, talk about some different scenarios and how that can help your organization. Next slide. All right. So before I turn it over to Sam, just want to kind of tee this up a bit for him, right? So sales is hard, right? As the VP of sales, we all know it's challenging out there, right? So how do we deal with some of the challenges that we're facing today? There's a lot more scrutiny on deals. Deals now sometimes have to go all the way up to the chief financial officer for sign up, right? How do we deal with very large purchasing committees that are going to be involved in making decisions around new solutions for an organization? How are we dealing with the competition that we're up against? And actually, one of the biggest competitors out there that's in this quote at the top from the Harvard Business Review is status quo, right? Not making a decision to change, but making a decision to just stay with what you're currently using. So that is one of the biggest competitors out there. And so I think the challenge that salespeople face all the time is I've got all these opportunities in front of me. Which are the best opportunities for us to pursue, right? Where we're going to have the highest return on investment, where you have the highest opportunity to close deals. And so what are the tools that we can give to the sales folks to help them make those decisions and their management to coach them through deals, ultimately to come out with a win on the back end? So those are just a quick overview of some of the challenges here. So next slide is our transition point. Sam's going to get into some deep dive on a couple of these issues, right? Maximizing the selling time, right? How do we free up the salesperson from some of these administrative tasks so that they can focus more time selling with the customer, right? How do we improve the close ratios, right, of all the deals that you're in? Some of which is picking the right deals to chase in the first place. as well as closing the deals that are in your pipeline. And then importantly for the organization as a whole, how do we improve our forecast capability? How do we use things like a MEDIC or MEDPIC sales methodology to really have more rigorous discipline about how we forecast deals? What are all the things that we need to inspect in a deal and have agreement on as we move it through the pipeline as it goes from really pipeline to upside to committed revenue for the quarter? All right, next slide. And this is where I am going to hand it off to Sam, who's going to take you through some of the Microsoft Dynamics 365 capabilities. Sam, over to you.
You know, one of the greatest things I've been able to see throughout all my years as an enterprise architect is the fact that we've moved from basically pieces of software to basically software suites to then solutions that have basically been very much tailored to our needs, to the point to where now we have platforms, and the platforms are built upon frameworks which provide such a capability to expand and extend and personalize your actual approach to anything you want or need. It could be everything from the different industries, healthcare, finance, and manufacturing, whatever you want to cover there. But more importantly, personalization within the actual processes within each company. So today we're going to be focusing on sales, and we're going to be focusing on the life cycle of that sort of lead and opportunity type management, and which is a very delicate issue in most cases. Every time I approach or speak with a client, most of the time I get answers like, well, we really don't spend a lot of time on leads because, we manage that in basically Excel, or we have it in another solution, or it's part of our other, basically application. But when we really get to the opportunity, that's when we enter it in. Well, not having a visibility into all of this really creates an invisibility to how efficient or inefficient you actually are. So we're going to start off today with just Microsoft Sales for Dynamics 365, because what that has become, obviously, is it's evolved. It's evolved into what would be an AI-dominated predictive type of a process, which allows sales agents not only to basically be built personally, but are actually incorporated as part of the solution right from day one. You've heard Copilot mentioned multiple times. You heard Michael mention the different, sorted types, almost 24 different types of Copilot, but each Copilot is an agent. And it's created by Microsoft for specific purposes, whether in the Office suite or in this case, Dynamics 365. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at, first and foremost, Dynamics 365 sales and things that are basically inherent to that application. And then we're going to look at how Copilot starts to extend it further. And then ultimately, we're going to talk to you about our sales accelerator. So reimagining the sales experience is probably one of the most important things to start off with. There are a number of tasks. As a matter of fact, there's so many metrics out there about how salespeople, that are really love their work in sales, spend more time administering to the back end overhead than they do to the actual aspect of being in front of the client or in front of the customer, the prospect. And that's where they live and that's where they shine. So, it becomes something to the point to where basically, like any even entrepreneur, whenever you're not in your business, you have to focus then, sort of on the business. And it becomes a little bit less personalized. So we want to basically take those drudgery of those mundane tasks out of that day-to-day and put it back into what would be automation, so that you get that momentum back rolling towards being in front of the customer. So as we move here, you're cutting the drudgery, you're connecting the data, okay? Crush the sale, okay? Because that's where you live and die. And that's where all of sales loves to be, is right in front of the client. And then continuously improve. Because everybody that works within a process, no matter how poor the process is, you repeat it a number of times, it gets better. Imagine if the process starts off really good already. It doesn't take long to get great at it. And then pretty soon it becomes more of just almost like your left and right hand, how they work together. So we are going to go right from that sales piece into the Copilot. So Dynamics 365 Sales has much of this already pre-built in. So you get some predictability, you get great reports, great actionable items, all sorts of information right on down to relationships. But when you put on top of that Microsoft 365 Copilot, what you're doing there is you're really saying, I'm going to add AI to some of the tasks like writing emails or validating the email before you send it. Drafting the email out of the content in a response. So you don't even have to really read the message that came in, okay, in your Outlook. You basically have to just say, how should I respond to this? And now you're going to start with a really well-cut draft. And from that draft, you're going to turn around and then make it very personal and in a much shorter time be able to get that back out to your client. And right there, introducing a little bit more of a personalized approach and definitely improving the customer experience. Some of the things that it can do is you can live right inside your products, and you can live right inside of, in some cases, Outlook, or you can live right inside of CRM. So what we're doing here is we're really doing AI-generated email replies. So you basically get some predefined response categories that you can actually select right while you're inside the email, basically indicating how you might want to flavor that message. And then you can turn around again, fine tune it before you go out. We also have meeting summaries. Now, meeting summaries are probably one of the nicest and most early adoptions of what would be Copilot. Anybody that's ever used Copilot within Teams has noted that, when you start recording that transcript, okay, is the moment that you can ask at any point in time, please catch me up on this meeting or summarize this meeting for me right now. And in the very end, it doesn't matter. You're going to get a full summary. That summary can then be placed right on into one of your basically accounts or your contacts. You can be tracking that right inside Dynamics 365. Anybody that picks up or looks on after you or supports you in this lead or this opportunity now has actionable information that's very summarized, very well summarized. For them to basically take over, giving you maybe even a PTO day, which we all know those are somewhat far in between and definitely too short all the time. So this is one of the things that you can really take to the market. Another one is basically taking those embedded transcription notes. You can actually get to a point of looking at the sentiment. So while you're performing that meeting, you can actually have a sense of how the meeting is going. And afterwards, you can even take a reflection on that meeting and look at the areas that just sort of pop up as a metric and say, you know what, this doesn't look like it was a positive point. You click on it, it automatically goes right to that transcript point, and you can now dissect it if it's important or not and address it immediately, which again, removing a little bit of that mundane task and actually in this case, being a little bit more proactive to be able to provide feedback immediately to your client, putting out a fire if there's a fire, clearing up, some form of concern if there's a concern. It basically helps you think for you the aspects of how to improve that customer experience within the lead or the opportunity. Another area in here is basically working right within the records. So you're able to actually take and edit customer records right while you're working within your environment, and that's powerful. To be in Outlook, work in or Teams, and to work into Dynamics 365 and vice versa. One of the other areas is in collaboration spaces, and that's probably one of the big missing pieces. We all try to create that email thread, IM thread, create a team or something like that, but we don't do it consistently the same way across all of our peers. Nor is it something that we probably do consistently well. We just sort of need it, so we have it. And so when you go to look at it, it appears like things are missing. Well, in this case, this helps you basically with Copilot create that space, and those spaces are now even segregated. You can have a customer space, and you can have an internal space. The internal space then is basically, if you call it your pursuit team, if you want, allows you to have everybody collaborating, participating. You can call up people where you just might have a question, and I could be reaching on out and just, basically call out Michael and say, Michael, what are your thoughts on this? Michael's going to get some form of an alert, which will let him know that I'm asking a question. He can respond directly, and I can actually then follow up and see it's in here. So now we're having some of these mundane tasks sort of sort of preset the activity and then also complete it. So we're handing the baton off nicely with knowledge. Now, there are multiple different types of basically use case examples that are out there. All I did was grab one of these, and that's basically because you see it's increased revenue by 25% in 1 quarter. And this was reduced burnout and enhanced efficiency. Again, going to what we really are looking for, not just a quality of life, but a quality of work life. And these are the things that now Microsoft has been focusing on, not only within just the Dynamics 365 sales, but enhancing it with, in this case, the Copilot for sales. So we're going to move on now to what we have built in addition to that. And that is basically featuring, of course, our basically consulting level where we really have the whole breadth of experience across business, application, data, and technology to be able to speak to what would be our insight into what would be sales acceleration. So we have a Dynamics 365 sales accelerator. You'll note that underneath we have 2 sales methodologies, BANT and MEDPIC. Now, BANT is somewhat built into the lead and even carrying through to the opportunity, okay, as one of the recognized and probably one of the more simpler methodologies for being able to gather the information to basically pursue a lead, gather the information you need to qualify the lead. MEDPIC is much more of a strategic approach, and what we've done is we basically have utilized a lot of the experience brought by Michael to look at how MEDPIC can be taken from a strategy to a tactic. So now we're actually in the point of being able to see what's going on at each opportunity, but at a tactical level, so we know how to have actions or activities that are recommended to move forward with for each of the sales pursued. So a little bit of what sales lifecycle management is for a methodology. You know, there's certain things that you're trying to do. Some people start as far back as what would be a target, and then maybe move to a prospect, and then move to a lead, move to an opportunity, move to hopefully through what would be a quote, order, invoice. I mean, that is the full life cycle management. But in most cases, it's abbreviated to just lead and opportunity. So by having some form of set of rules or guiding principles, it allows us to basically make sure that we have a consistent approach with all of our interactions with our prospects, our targets, our leads, our opportunities, make that client experience a lot more enhanced. And then that consistency allows all our team members to follow that same approach. And that's really what using a methodology is all about. It also helps when you have new people or someone that's just taking over for you. So you can, again, have that day out as a PTO day. I mean, you really don't have to do much training once you learn a certain method, because after that, it's just where are you in the stage of this? In that method, you know, we're at this stage, you know, and then you take that over and now you've got somebody who can step in for you. And in the end, you're really looking for results. So performance management or measurement is very, very important with the analytics aspects of this. So here's where we're going to cover a little bit of the 2 popular sales methodologies that we are going to cover today. Now, you notice we did have some more that are in there, and there's actually a boatload out there, many of which there's some that you might be using. In this case, BANT focuses on 4 major things: budget, authority, need, and timeline. Now, it's really about working quickly. Everything here is quickly because, you know, people grow cold. They go cold on an idea. They go cold on a movement. So you really want to capture the moment and make that experience heightened instead of lessened. And in this case, we want to basically increase that amount of time. Let's get through the lead, qualify the lead quickly, get it into the opportunity. And if that opportunity merits it, meaning it's really important, we may not stay with BANT because we may be able to get through that process with it, but if it's really complex, or let's say it's really a great opportunity for revenue, well, we would then move into more of a strategy, and that's where MEDPIC really takes on. And for those of you unaware of it, this really covers metrics, economic buyer, decision criteria, decision process, paper process, identifying the pain champions, and competition. So let's talk a little bit about Dynamics 365 sales And we're going to talk about it from the sales accelerator with MedPick being the focus. Again, we can build this using any sales methodology, but what we're striving to do, and in this case with MedPick, is provide a consistency. So we're mapping MedPick to the actual sales stages that we use internally and you can use internally, or you might have your own to ensure a consistent approach for your sales qualification. We're making all of that highly visible so that right within inside Dynamics 365, all of your sales team, either whether it's your peers or it might be sales management or it might even be right up at the actual leadership level of where you're looking at the entire organization as a whole. We're putting efficiency into this. So we're streamlining that sales process using automated workflows. We're pushing and pulling data because it should be boundaryless. That data should be able to flow and create another activity, no matter what stage you're in, just whatever that next activity is to get closer to your end goal. We're making data-driven decisions, definitely, and we're leveraging the analytics that we're able to acquire by going through this MedPick strategic process at a tactical level. More importantly, and probably the biggest thing across the board I can't overemphasize, is that any type of methodology, when it's simple, has a high adoption. And we all have probably been there, where you buy an expensive piece of software or you invest in a particular platform or something that you know has been successful throughout the industry, and you've got multiple use cases and business cases to basically testify to that. But it's why isn't it working here? Well, we have to really ask it. And I know my favorite question is asking a salesperson, what do you need done here? And their answer is typically just make it with one click. And I'm waiting for the day when one of them says, I don't even want to click anything. Just tell me what I need to do. So this is what we're trying to do, is increase the adoption through all of these methodologies. Three of the very big features of MedPick being based upon the Dynamics 365 sales and being part of an AI sales accelerator is that we have configurability. Okay, we're able to actually select what we need within these MedPick qualifiers in order to make it fit whatever stage we need while we process through. We also can turn around and actually carry revenue and all sorts of aspects all the way through to actually making them actionable. Many times, we say, how much do you think this lead is going to be? What's the estimated revenue on this? And you might as well just round up to the nearest 10,000, 100,000, or what have you, because there's really not enough information to really just do anything more than a gut check on it. You're just basically it's your wild guess. And in this case, this allows you to get a lot more actionable on what that revenue can be right from the start. The trackability of it is collecting and consolidating all of this information. Now, think of this information as a one-off initially, because you're going through it with what would be either in the opportunity, but further think about it in the future, because once you have this information, when you work with this client again, or you work with another prospect that has some similarities to this client, you're actually going to be able to build out and establish some form of behavior. And that allows you now to even get more quickly capable of closing out that opportunity very successfully, as we all want to do. And of course, all of that leads to the point that we're collecting data throughout the entire process, turning this into just basically advanced analytics. And we know we can just report those. We can have them basically be real time. And at any point in time, you can actually get sort of the stop sign, or the stoplight, I should say, the red, green, yellow type of where are we at within either this practice or this department or within this entire company or organization. And that is probably some of the major benefits and features of what we're able to accomplish. So we're going to pause and take a look at this just a little bit. We have three screens of what we have for our current use of the MedPick methodology, but you can envision this with whatever methodology you use. As you look at this screen, what we're looking at is a dashboard, okay? And this dashboard is actually showing the MedPick scores for each opportunity, okay, in this list. So think of it as a list view of all your opportunities. Some of the things I'd like to basically highlight here is that it's not just an opportunity overview, but it's something that's actually dynamic. So you're able to drill down into the details. If you look at the right side of this, right to the right of score, you're able to see the stop sign or stoplight, I should say, basically picture of what each of the different categories within MedPEC that you're actually wanting to fulfill. Now, this could be any sales methodology, but if you're trying to get data here, it's either not there, okay, where it's red, or it's starting to be filled where it's yellow, or you've got the data you need, which is green. And the goal here is that this is now a sort of a quantifiable type of a stoplight where if you get enough of the greens, you're now going to raise your score. And at some point in time, that score is actually going to go beyond whatever threshold you set, and it's going to move from opportunity all the way into the point to where you're actually looking at it as a commit. Okay, and we know there's a process in here where we could be on the upside, we could be forecasting it, but ultimately we want to get it green all the way across the board. Some of the other things in here is each one of these allows you then to do deal inspection, basically part of the drill down, and deal coaching. So if you're working with a team, a pursuit team, or you're working with basically sales management or leadership, you're able to actually now be able to learn quicker how to be a good salesperson within this opportunity, which then gives you better behavior traits for sales within others. We move on in a little bit to what would be just one opportunity type screen. And everything's staying simple. You remember I said that MedPIC is what it's typically built for basically as a strategy for highly complex opportunities. So, one of the great things is bringing it tactical and bringing it actionable allows us to actually have a process standardization right at the workflow level. So if you look across the top, you'll see that we go right from opportunity to upside to forecast to commit. And we've got preset basically percentages in here, and they're triggered by preset scores that are on each opportunity, okay? But more importantly, you could work within the form or you could work within the stage, because the stage comes down as basically a drop down. So if you're looking at the upside right here, we're actually seeing that one of the things is the solution solved presented. And if the answer is yes, okay, we're fulfilling this stage. So it allows us to move through the process in the form of a wizard, or it allows us to go through the process in the form of hitting each individual category. In this case, we're working on the very first one, which is metric, the very start of MedPIC. So if you also look, you'll see that we've got unknown, yes, not strategic, yes, strategic. And if that's the case, we can just make this very simple. So if it's yes, not strategic, it automatically puts itself as a 1, and it records itself, you'll see on the right side, as under metric, okay, yes, not strategic, and we're yellow. So it's already building up that score, which is right above it as a 28. Now, 28 appears to be high enough, though, that it actually has us sitting on the upside. So we're actually going through our stages just like we have. We're no longer an opportunity. Our goal is to get it higher yet so that it actually pushes into forecast and ultimately a commit. We've also added what would be a qualifying piece here. And that qualifying is because we have, basically numbers and different types of algorithms or formulas that allow us to, say how well we're doing. It's really important about the relationship. And a salesperson always has a relationship with their customer, their client. So based upon that, they have the ability here to basically say, you know what, this is the customer's commitment for change, and we're going to give them a 4 out of 5 star. That helps because that right there could mean, even though you're still in this upside, that you may be able to push this through faster because of your relationship. So this is basically just sitting at the, again, one record level, one opportunity, quantifying and qualifying each stage, okay, and then allowing us to have a very nice, clear visuals and very nice, clear, basically wizard or what would be form-based entry. And the last one we're going to cover is a little bit more on the forecasting, because forecasting is really one of the key outcomes of what we're trying to achieve with having a sales methodology. You'll notice here that, and just to explain the screen a little bit, just the left side, what we have is we've got the ability to slice and dice, meaning, we can choose our fiscal year, so we can look in the past. We can, drill it into the quarter. We can look at basically in, different revenue streams, pipeline forecasts. I mean, there's a drillable capability here that allows you to really get some history or dive in. More importantly, though, when it defaults and it pulls up where you're at, what you're going to see is you're going to see that little bit on the right side of that drill down. And on the very bottom there, what we have is we basically have our stages. So we're looking at all of what revenue is lying in each stage. And we also have then, in this case, these are practice areas or departments or divisions within your organization. So we focused in on one of these here, okay? So on the upside, we're focused in and we're basically drilling into the 471,000 or the 471,100. And as we're doing that, on the right side of that, we're able to see then these are the opportunities that make that 471,100 basically revenue stream. And you're able to take a look at those and see that we've got a couple of what would be missing pieces of information, which might be vital in this MEDPIC process and the methodology. Again, it could be any methodology. And by doing so, we would just create those stages and be able to then, create sort of a very simple stoplight approach to being able to see where you are. Now, the other part is you're able to see up on top that we've got project type, and then we even have ROI. Now, the project type is that within this, what we're looking at right here is our ERP. So any of our implementations that are ERP are actually the greatest of our what would be projects or opportunities in this case out there. And the application development is next, followed by our migration and our infrastructure. So it's just giving us a nice bar chart on where we're really focusing our effort across our projects, okay? On the right side of that, we have ROI. Now, ROI is a unique figure, and it can be basically, it can be customized or personalized to how you look at it. But in this case, what we're looking at is we're looking at the amount of the cost of the pain. So if we look at the P over in what would be the MEDPIC methodology, the cost of that pain divided by the cost of what would be the solution fitting in is going to give you the ROI. So the higher the number of ROI, okay, the better. So you can think of this over even a time period. So in most cases, when you put in a new solution, you're looking at it amortized over probably 2 to 3 years. So let's say it's a 3-year basis. So if the pain over 3 years, equals $1 million, and the cost is $50,000 to put in, you're going to have an extremely high ROI. Okay, so it helps with what would be a conversation with the clients of saying, you know what, this right here could actually be a return much quicker, and your pain disappears immediately. So you're going to have basically out of 2 years, you're going to have roughly maybe 18 plus months of no pain and nothing but revenue. So we're looking across the project type, the sales channel, and the ability to slice and dice. And this is really about being able to forecast by category, very rigorous, repeatable processes, uniform scoring, and obviously data-driven decisions. So we're sort of getting to a point here where we're wrapping up a bit. And what we have basically created is we've created some opportunities for our attendees. And that is the fact that we've got different types of transformation as part of our insight, consulting and advisory. And, we've been leading transformation since 2001. We've been founded by just veterans in the industry. And this is really something where Netwoven this is our sweet spot, is being able to help organizations grow revenue, to be able to create efficiencies operationally, to be able to somewhat put quality back into the work life, so that you actually then have quality of life as well. So your next step here is to basically have an opportunity Look at it from a business digital transformation side, where we can actually do a form of a readiness assessment. Look at it from the AI transformation side or the application transformation side. All three cases here basically have different types of focuses, and within 2 to 4 hours, we can basically provide what would be at least what next steps and a very like really what you'd call a quick assessment of your current status. And lastly, I want to be able to throw some things here, is that we've got some additional solutions as well as like webinars and things that are coming out. We have AI-driven customer insights, which is, again, featuring some of the aspects of marketing which have been highly evolved now with Microsoft, not only through the form of AI, but by incorporating basically a customer data platform directly into the AI to help with marketing efforts, basically automating segmentation and customer journeys. Plus, it's a real-time journey, so it's really a very personalized, real-time approach to marketing to your customers now, instead of it being a business-wide approach, which is the very latest and the very probably most adapted type of marketing that's coming out to play. We have also AI-driven customer experience, which features the customer and field service within Dynamics 365. There is a great deal of flow that can go through this to include incorporating forms of call center type activities. There's just a great automation effort that's going into the customer service to basically really create that highlighted customer experience. And then upcoming is another solution, which is Accelerate Revenue Solution of Account Management Accelerator. Now, this is more of a planning type of a solution, which allows you to look very close at the important accounts or to even prioritize accounts and be able to have a better strategy alignment, increase the opportunities that are there for revenue, and get that competitive edge, that advantage. So I'm going to go ahead right here, and we'll basically end the part where you get the PowerPoints, and we'll move on a little bit into what would be our Q&A.
Thanks, Sam. Michael, great presentation. There were a couple of questions. I know we only have a few minutes left, but a couple of questions came up. Maybe more of a business question, Michael. Just looking at, I think there was a question about just how does Dynamics and let's go back here. How do Dynamics sales help improve lead quality and prioritization of high value opportunities? Any comments on how you're using it?
Say that one more time, Walt.
Just saying how Dynamics 365 sales improves lead quality and prioritization of high value opportunities. How are we using it?
So lead qualification, I think that is, I'm assuming this is inbound, right? So all that inbound that's out there, you've got your qualification process in place, right? Sales methodology. At Netwoven, we actually use BANT on the front end to qualify all of our leads. And then as we get engaged with the customer, we actually, for larger opportunities, switch over to MEDPIC and use a little more in-depth and rigorous methodology to qualify that opportunity and make decisions to pursue or not pursue. And if we are going to pursue, then that allows us to come up with a more comprehensive strategy on how we're going to win that deal against the particular competition that we're up against, as well as the incumbent solution in place.
Yeah, I would add briefly too that what we've done is, and so we don't have wasted effort on the lead with the BANT process. We've actually mapped that information so that it flows right on into the appropriate categories of MEDPIC, so that the methodology just is now an enhancement.
Sounds good. And then maybe Sam, a quick question. It was asking about AI. A Copilot for sales versus Dynamics 365 sales. Copilot.
Oh, definitely. That's a great question. And it's an interesting question because we have clients that are actually using both within the same organization. There's a unique perspective of, if you are a very heavy adoption of Dynamics 365, then could be a very strong case to use the Dynamics Copilot. What I will stress a little bit is the sales co-pilot. One of the biggest things that I've noted is the fact that, many people live right in Outlook and they live now in Teams. And, even though you get some of the versatility from both of these, because they are very similar, the sales seems to be the one that we see people just being early adopters on, meaning, we see their increased use of that much faster. Plus, with the Copilot for Sales, you're actually working down now licensing that allows you to utilize in your M365 as well. And so now, you've got presentations that you could have created for you. You've got in Excel, it's really crazy. Some of the capabilities, you can just basically type in and ask, how do I create this formula? And there you are. So, there are advantages. That's how we've seen it currently.
Great. Want to be respectful of people's time, but thank you for all the presentations and questions. If there's anything else, please feel free to reach out to the team, and we'll be sending out the slides and some of the additional links for you for all the attendees. Anything else, Michael, Sam?
No, just a thank you for attending today, and we look forward to talking with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a great